All right, so tell me about 99 Bananas.
Okay, so we were talking about this earlier when we were getting ready for our podcast. So, we were talking about like, all right, what's like a horror story? And
Yeah.
this story always comes to mind. I've told it before where I had a seller. It was back in the day, many years ago. And I scheduled a show. It was always just like, you knew something was off.
Mm-hmm.
I would schedule showings, then she couldn't, things come up. And it was just like, it was hard.
Yeah.
And I knew meeting her, you could just tell when you do this, like, this is going to be, I'm going to have to really work
Right.
for this. So I said, listen, I'm showing your house today. I'm bringing the buyer. So be ready, like have everything good, ready to go. So I go in the house and I hear like a fan going. You walk into a house sometimes and you just have like
You can sense somebody saying.
you could sense you could sense things, and I was like, something doesn't feel right. So I look, we're in the living. You walk in, you're in the living room, and then all I remember seeing was just these little bottles of, the 99 Bananas.
Yeah.
And I was like, a flashback of my high school life. I was like,
Somebody
I
had a
remember
good
when
time.
99 Bananas came out. We were like, it's such a high proof. Like, let's go get the 99
Yeah.
Bananas. So I make note of that, which I don't know why my eyes were drawn to that, because I'm not a very paying attention to detail kind of person
Right.
when it comes to that. So I noticed the 99 Bananas, and I'm like, okay, here's the living room. And then I was like, and your primary, at the time we called it master bedroom, is off to my right. And I turn the light on. My client's in front of me, and a fan is blowing.
Okay, say it again because we don't know what you just said.
Really, all you saw at first was like a hump in the bed, and like you just saw like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, is that like a pillow? Is that like, what is that?
No, it's my
and
client.
You see a fan, my client's in the bed, like stone cold, passed out. So then, like I do with my kids, I stand back and I was like, let me just make sure I could see the blankets. Like,
Right.
I didn't see it. I was like, God, don't do this.
Not today.
I'm too early in my career. I cannot have a dead. Like, what do you do?
You're
Like,
hey. Tap her feet. Hey. Hey.
So at that time, like, the clients were like, okay, no, no, no. And they're leaving the bedroom. And I was like, well, I cannot leave until I know my client is alive. So I had to pull the blankets down, like, hello, we're here. The showing that you approved is going on. You cannot be here. And you cannot be here in the state.
So does she wake up?
She was alive.
She's like, oh,
I was like, we'll reschedule.
get yourself together.
We left. And I was just like, you always think, why me?
Right. Why, Lord?
Why do I always, my whole career, and people say this to me, they're like, I always get the crazy. I was like, you don't even know.
You have no idea.
Like, I've had a 99 Bananas dead body. I've had a lady I've had a move. Like, you just never,
Yeah.
you never know what the client's going to bring. But
My dad always says it's because you don't pay the preacher enough. You don't put enough in the offertory plate.
Lord, but all I know is that she was alive. We sold that house, and
Oh, you did sell it.
Yeah, eventually.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I
Okay.
definitely sold that house. And I hope she's doing great.
There's a joke there somewhere, but
Well, it was scary at first, but now, you look back on it and you're like, God damn.
I don't know.
God damn.
Oh, I walked in on somebody in the shower once.
No, that's the worst. The worst are the stories.
Forgot to tell the girlfriend I was coming.
The worst are the stories where I've heard stories, and it hasn't happened to me personally, where like the husband was home with the mistress.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And I forgot who told me that story. And it was a story here. And they walked in. Oh, but I just popped in my head. So I had an agent like early in her career. Not only do I get my stories,
Right.
I get my
You get everybody
agent's-
else's,
I
yeah.
get everyone else's stories. So I had an agent call me very early in her career. Panicked. I could tell on the phone something's gone down. Panicked. Rachel, I don't know what to do. Who do I call? What do I do? I said, what happened? What happened? My client decided he needed to go to the attic because he knows about construction. He went in the attic. He fell through the fucking ceiling.
oh no.
And I'm like, well, is your client okay? Yeah, my client's fine, but who do I call? I was like, call the listing agent.
Yeah.
Let them know that the ceiling has a hole in it.
We got a
Like,
problem.
we got a problem.
He's bought it. It's his
And-
house.
Nope.
He didn't buy it.
No, but they did work it out where the
Well, yeah.
buyer did pay for
Has
the
to fix it.
damages.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, moral of the story is let the inspectors inspect your property.
Every time.
Don't let the buyer go up there because if you really don't know what you're doing and you're not standing on the right, you're going to go right.
You're going right through.
It could have been
It could have ended worse.
It could have ended worse.
Although I had an agent one time that went to the home inspection and the inspector fell through the ceiling.
That's not funny. But
It's not funny. You
No,
talk about that
but
inspector being like, "Oh, dang, my credibility," and it's a good inspector. I mean, I use them all the time.
listen, things
It happens.
happen.
Yeah. He just stepped wrong and just whoop right through.
And you could lose your balance up there. I mean, inspectors are going attics, especially in the summertime. Oh, I had one recently.
No. Okay, well, the house that had the fleas I was telling you about,
Yeah.
an agent in my office actually ended up selling that house. And she told me, oh, yeah, the buyer, I said, were y'all covered in fleas? She said, yeah, the buyer had a rash all over their body and this and that. And she said, even went under the house to see if it had termites. I said, how did he go under the house? Like,
Because those crawl space in Mobile is like
it's
literally
little like that.
I don't envy anybody that does that.
no, I'm too claustrophobic. I panic.
No,
I'm too claustrophobic.
I'm scared of snakes. I don't want to see a snake.
No, Listen, I'm so claustrophobic. When we went to DC, we went out to dinner one night. Do you remember this?
Tell me.
So everywhere, if you go with me anywhere, I'm gonna order you an Uber Black.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. that was
I don't
so
ride anything
bad.
else. It's Uber Black all the time because number one, they're reliable. They get there quick. They're clean.
They're
They're
usually
usually
waters,
suburban.
mints,
Yes, it's a
yeah.
good situation. But they're usually like suburban XLs if you have a big group, whatever. Well, this one was a Lexus LX, which are nice cars, but the third row, I don't know if I would really call that a third
Yeah.
row.
For
so
adults, yeah.
I'm trying to be a gentleman and knowing good and damn well I have no business getting in the. I'm claustrophobic. I panic.
Literally.
And my parents have stories like when I was young, like be like, I can't breathe, like in the back of the van, So anyway, I get in the third row. They pull the seat up. When they pull the seat up, it's like the walls are closing in on me. The ceiling is here of the car, the window's here, and then it's like they don't know where they want to go. They're changing their stops, and then I'm like, "You have to stop the car. I got to get out of this car. You got to stop the car."
This is a true story. He like
think that-
literally, and I'm just like,
They're like, "What's wrong?"
okay.
You were next to me. You're like,
Yeah.
"What?" You're on your
Well-
phone scrolling. You're like, "What? What's wrong with you? It's fine." I'm like, "Get me out of this damn car."
Full-fledged Panic
Now,
attack. So he
I'm
pulls
like,
over,
yeah.
got out of the car. You went in the front
I went in the front seat. They got in the back. I was like, "Okay, I can't be a gentleman anymore. I can't go in the back." The guy's like, "What the hell's going on?" The driver. I'm like, "You got to stop the car right now."
But it was hot. It was definitely
It was too hot. It was
but
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Stuff like that doesn't faze me.
I'm getting like,
Oh.
I can't breathe talking about it.
Oh my god.
So,
Okay. So any
Anyway.
horror stories? No.
mine was that flood one. Do you have? Well, you know what? I have one the other day. I have a brand new agent. I grew up with her like in college and
Yeah.
stuff, and so we were good friends. And so this is her first time showing property, so she was nervous. I did not understand the situation. I thought this was a friend that she was showing property to. This was not. This was another client. She had two that she's kind of been working, and this was a friend of a friend or a friend's brother, something. Anyway, she doesn't do things that I normally would request, like them get a picture of their driver's license, maybe meet at the
Yeah.
office first. She doesn't know him, you know. So I also make them. We have what's called Forewarn, which is an app. It's for our safety
the
because realtors
Are
are
you
like.
wait. Are you unbanned from?
I'm
Forewarn?
unbanned. Okay. I don't know what happened. I got removed from it, but
Just
my
so you
executive
know, if
officer
you
got me
have-
back on.
If you have forewarned, don't look up celebrities.
Don't look up celebrities. Don't do it. Because I did, and I got shut down. This is the fine print. You can't look up celebrities, politicians,
Literally,
TikTok
it's
people.
everything about
Yeah.
people, and like it's scary how much information you get by a phone number.
I know. It shows you like their speeding tickets, if they were arrested, if they.
But it's a great
everything.
tool. Let's talk about this one again because
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a good tool to have, especially if you're meeting someone you don't know. If you get a
Yes.
call from a number you don't know, you could do a quick search, kind of see if that's something you want to do alone. She's new. She didn't have the app downloaded. She didn't do it. I didn't think because I thought she knew this person personally. So she calls me halfway through a showing and she says, "Hey, listen, I just need you. I'm not with this person. They're following me, thank God. But she's like, I just need to talk to you about like what's going on and like, can you just check in on me?" I'm like, What's happening? This guy's made sexual advances at her several times. And he's like, "Oh, we'll just go to your house. It's fine. My wife will never know. We'll go back up and stay. Like, they'll never know." Like, I'm like, who does that, first of all?
It's the worst.
Yeah. Second of all,
Crazy world.
I'm like, okay, so next time anything like that happens, the first time you pick up the phone, I'll be there. Like, I'm going to come with
It's
you.
a crazy world. You really need to do your
Yeah,
due diligence
it's even tougher for
before.
women. I mean, many times sexual advances, she had to push him off and say, we're going to be professional. No, you're being funny. No, like kind of like laughing it off, but many times. And so I was like, okay, do not open when you open the door, open it, let him go first. Don't go in first.
Always. Never go in front of them.
Never go in front of him. Open the door, let him
Don't
go
go
in.
up those stairs in front of them.
No. So I was having teacher things. So I'm like, do you have forewarned? I just got it today. I just activated it. I said, give me this person's number. I look up the number.
I'm going to throw up. It's horrible.
74 hits.
Yep.
And they're all, now she
Sexual.
did know there was a past before.
Okay.
It got his life in order, whatever. But some of them I was like, I would have never
So
let
what
you
did she
go.
do? She ended there and said, like, I'm done for the day?
No, she finished the property. And so I was like
Buy
sending.
anything?
Yeah. So I sent, they're like working out a deal right now. So I sent her.
Oh, this is like live.
Right
going
now,
on.
yeah. So I sent her like text messages, and she and I, we have like a fun relationship, and we laugh like
Yeah.
every time we're together. We like you and me, we just
Yeah.
laugh nonstop. So I'd be like, okay, what happened at this time and this point when you came to visit in Troy? This the only story she would know, And so she responded and like with the right answers. I was like, you have to call me every time you
Now
get to the
she
house,
doesn't
every time
need
you
to
leave.
be alone with him.
No, she's not going to. I'm not going to allow that.
That is so scary. I had an agent earlier this year. We do stuff. We get Zillow leads, and you meet people, and you have to do your due diligence before. So I review all my agents' calls, and I was listening to a call, and I just didn't like the way it was going.
Mm-hmm.
Like something about the conversation bothered me.
Yeah.
And she was like, so I would say, all right, so now what's going on with you and the buyer? Like, I need an update and to see, like, the status of the client. And she's like, yeah, like, he's it's kind of off. He's like, he asks me to pick him up and me to take him to properties. And, he texts me a lot. And I'm like, it's nothing is sounding right. And she's a young girl. She's very attractive. And I was like, have you used Forewarn before? And she said, no. So I go on Forewarn in front of, like, we have a classroom of people, and I look them up, and all these sodomy, rape, minor. I'm like, how is he not even in jail?
Right.
Like, is he calling you from jail? Weird. She broke down crying. I was like, guys, and I
That's
tell
terrifying.
my agents, and after we do this today, I'm going to reiterate this to my agents. You need to check Forewarn. It's there to protect us because, especially being women in this industry, I mean,
And realtors are the number one targeted. I think more murders and they become more victims of crime are realtors.
Oh, it's very
and you think about it too,
scary.
it is hard because our business is it could be very fast paced. You
Yeah.
could have your whole day planned
Yes.
out, and then someone calls you to do something on the fly, and you go because
I know. And
you
you're
have
not
a yeah.
And you're not thinking twice, like, this could
Yeah.
be a predator.
Right.
You just go.
You're like, oh, I'm gonna do a good job for my
I know.
seller or my client or whatever. So yeah, I'll be happy to go show it to you. You go and open it, and then you're like, whoa.
I know. Only one time I was on a listing appointment. I remember the house. I remember the subdivision. I remember everything. Something just didn't feel
Same.
right. So I was like, I'm going to this house. This is where I'm going to be. And I just remember, even then the appointment it didn't feel good. That's why I said, I remember walking up those stairs in front of him. And I literally, in my mind at that moment, was like, this is how it's going to end. I just had a weird feeling. Luckily,
Yeah.
I'm still here standing. But it reminded me how... It's a vacant house. If I didn't tell anyone, they would have no freaking idea where I am.
Yeah.
We didn't have Forewarn
Share your
then.
location. Tell people.
And I think also when agents get started, they're so excited.
Yeah.
Well,
and you're hungry. You want a deal.
hungry,
you want
you're
money
excited.
coming in. You want
every
things.
pool you're gonna meet, everyone you're gonna go meet. And I think another issue too is also we have so much land fraud now. We have people calling, pretending they're the owner.
AI. Yeah.
And, agents are so excited they're not doing the due diligence that they need to do to be like, all right, are you really the owner of this property? Or are you really a predator that's going to hurt me?
Right.
It's a scary world.
I know. Well, and even like as a man, you sometimes push things back. You're like, oh, that really only happens to women.
Yeah.
You don't really,
there's some
I can
men
handle
shot.
myself. Oh, I know. I mean, I went on an appointment last summer and it was the same thing. It just felt the listing appointment was weird. I got a call from a mailer. The whole lead up was strange, but I set the appointment. I went to it. When I got there, the house was dark. It was real. He wouldn't turn on any lights. It was kind of weird. And then out of nowhere, somebody was I was in a room. He's like, show this room to me. And then there was somebody right here.
No.
It was a woman, but I mean, out of nowhere appeared. There was nowhere. I don't know where she came from.
Oh, it's the worst.
And then the house, things were off.
Yes.
And I had like an ick vibe. I don't know why. Like there was.
You gotta
like,
listen to
my
your
radar
gut.
was saying like, get out of the house.
Your gut literally speaks to you.
I know. I'm like, well, I can get like murdered and stuff in this
Did
bag.
you list the house?
Yeah. I never went back.
I know.
I never called him back. I never fought,
There's been times where I haven't too. I was like, I'm not the one, and it's just something not right is going on.
And I hate to do that, but it was just
I know. No, it happens. We got to listen to our gut. It's a scary world.
Yeah.
Just think about God, what we're going through now. Imagine what our children are going to go through later in life. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It really is. Look at each other because we're like,
what now?
All right, so we've done the horror stories, we've done the humor stories, we know what our audience likes, we see your engagement with our stories. So what have been some like heartfelt, good real estate moments in your career?
Well, so I know like we are in the business to make money,
Yes.
But I tell people all the time, it's not about the money. I never chase a dollar. I don't ever look at what a commission's being paid. I'm doing what is best for my client. If they want to see this, if it meets their needs, I'm going to show it to them. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of times you do pro bono work because
100%.
It's not about the money.
100%. I tell my agents that, or orientation, that is the first thing I say. If you are here today and you got your license to make money, you are in the wrong room.
Yep, go.
I said, if you put that dollar over the commission, compensation, we don't say commission now either, over the client's needs, you shouldn't be in this room.
No.
But
No.
you better
and
be
there are
ready
some firms that works for. That's their MO. That's the way they work. It's not how I work.
Now, if a stove's going to get in the middle of a transaction, you better pony up the money to pay for that.
You know how many refrigerators or washers and dryers I've purchased?
That's what you do as a good agent. Is you are a part of the transaction to get everyone to
make it work. Yeah. So I had an agent in my office. She came to me and she was really concerned because she was going on a listing appointment with an older couple in a nicer neighborhood, and they were the original owners, and it's a good property. They're going to make a lot of money on it. But when she was working with them to maybe look at, well, what's the next step before we list your house? Where are you going? What are you going to purchase? They were looking in some questionable areas with like a much reduced sticker price because the affordability isn't here in Baldwin County, Alabama. I mean, if it's under $250, I mean, it's a hard market at under $3. I mean, really, And so we're talking like 180, 200,000. So it's some questionable areas in another, Mobile, really. Yeah. So bottom line is she's getting to them, trying to get it out of them because they're not always upfront with what's going on.
Why they want to sell the house.
Yeah, there's some medical issues, and they're going to use some of the proceeds to go towards that to help fund it.
Yes.
And so she was coming to me. She's like, I don't feel good about this. Like putting them in a neighborhood that's less than what they're going to live in and things like that. And I said, oh, well, you should call Bob Pitts. He's in Foley, Alabama. He specializes in reverse mortgages. I said, he is so versed in that. They should do a reverse mortgage. That probably would help him. So she called him. She got all the information. She's like, this sounds really good. She called the client. Client says, oh, we've already investigated it. We can't do that. This, that, and the other. She said, listen, let me just set the appointment. Let's talk to him and let's see.
Yes.
So they set the appointment. They talked to him. It worked out. They were able to get a reverse mortgage. They were able to get more than enough money to live on the rest of their life, and they don't have to pay that back. It goes to your heirs. I mean, they're going to have to figure out how to sell the house after that.
And then they can just worry about taking care of their health.
They can take care of them, and they can still live in the same comfort that they have now. They don't have to move and downsize and sell all their stuff, and So, and I told the agent, I said, it's unfortunate for you. You're not going to get, commission. She said flat right out, I don't care because I wouldn't feel good about receiving a commission on that because I know I'm not doing them a service.
Now, there's been times and more times than one where, people weren't always in the profit with their homes. And there's been times to make the numbers work because also, you don't realize if you're behind on your mortgage, you have all these extra fees that you don't realize until you get your payoff. I mean, there's been times I had to forfeit a commission or lower it because
100%.
How do you not? Mm-hmm. They foreclose, they lose their biggest asset, or you reduce your fee and you make it work for them.
Yeah.
I mean, you better be doing this every single day. Not worrying about yourself because you know what? It will come back to you. That's what I always 100%. Say. When one door closes, another open. You didn't get it here. Well, then next day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month, you're going to get another listing. It always comes back.
Oh, yeah.
You always have to do the right thing.
I know my dad just had one recently in another area in Bowen County, but it was a really good deal. And the house was a fixer-upper, and that's why it was priced pretty good. And the guy he's a contractor, so he knew exactly what it was going to take to get it livable and how he wanted it. So he had things in his mind. It was kind of like every hurdle they got over, there'd be something else,
Yes.
So like there was an issue they sent out because the house has been vacant for many years. They found out like 2 days before closing that it's not on city sewer like it says it is.
Oh,
It's on a septic tank.
Oh, my God.
And this particular town has a moratorium right now, so you can't hook up to their sewer company. So
Oh, those are the worst.
it was just like nightmare after nightmare. But you work through them. He worked through it. So they sent Bowen County Sewer out there to drain the tank, and he says, I can't drain that tank. And he says, what? Why? And he said, it's full of sand. You're gonna have to get somebody to come dig it up, replace it, do all these things. What? So anyway, long story short, we found out it was a koi pond that he was trying to pump. Not a septic tank. So we found the septic tank. They were able to get it pumped. Everything was on track. There was like, well, we'll buy the house, but we need this much off and this, that. And so there's like, no, it was back and forth, all this during this whole time.
Yes.
So anyway, they got to the closing table again, and there was another issue because all that was worked out. That was the day of closing. They found this out. They were able to pump it. They were going to go the next morning and sign. Well, then the seller says, well, y'all didn't close yesterday, so we're keeping the property.
Oh, those ones.
We're keeping the property. We're going to redo it ourselves. We're not selling. So my dad's like a real jovial, lighthearted person. The people pull up and he says, well, we got a problem. And the buyer says, oh, yeah, you're so funny, John. We got it worked out. He said, no, really, we got a problem. And he told him, he said, the wife just put her head in her hand and just started crying, sobbing. And he was like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get them this house, whatever it is. So he calls the agent, said, well, the agent isn't even here. He's having to deal with the broker. So he calls the broker and says, listen, if I give up my commission, can we make this thing work? Let's, these people need this house. They've got everything, here. They've done their part, whatever. The broker calls back and says, they said they would do it, but they also need 2% more on the purchase price.
That's
the people,
so wrong.
Isn't it horrible? I know. But the people said, yeah, we'll do it. So they pay the 2% more. He gave up his commission. And she looked at him and said, it doesn't matter. She said, you are going to be so taken care of. She said, I'm telling everyone in this town about you, and you're going to have more business than you know what to do with.
It always comes back. So that's why I always.
But there are people like that, and it's like this house has sat empty for 10 years, and now all of a sudden you're getting greedy. And the irony of this whole thing is the seller on their way to closing, they got delayed because
got a flat tire.
She broke her leg, and I'm like, see,
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. You do dirty, it comes back.
It all comes back to karma.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe in. Whenever we deal with crazy deals, or bad agents or bad sellers or it's karma.
Mm-hmm. So
you got to just stay in your lane, do what's right for everybody.
Yeah. But
crazy.
They got it closed. The people, they moved in, they're doing the work. God. So, but I mean, it's just those things you don't think of, it's like.
I know. Now just doing the podcast, I think of I'm always thinking of things that happened and gone on because it's so much. And you just all right, you got it closed, you're done. You check in with your client every now and then, but then you go on to the next.
Yeah.
You don't ever have time to really
I know,
just
process and
process
sit. Yeah.
You're all right, I'm glad we got this figured out. I'm not getting paid. Great. Now he needs help. She needs help.
Yeah.
We need help.
Well, and that's the thing too. And people, and I don't even think about it, but there's a lot of new agents. They're like, how are you juggling what you do?
So I get that all the time.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. I just do it. I don't know. They're like, but you have, 20 sellers, 20 listings, whatever. How are you managing it? I just do. I don't know. I check in with them. I do it. I don't know how it does, but. Especially when you have 5 that are pending or closing all at the same time. That's a little hectic.
It gets hectic.
But you had to have systems in place. But also you just kind of check in. And like you said, all right, I lost that one. Okay, I gotta help this one. I gotta help this one.
I just have a lot of lists. So I always go
work on
my
lists. Yeah.
And if I always have a running list of things I need to do and get it done. But
I know.
I mean, I get that all the time. They're like, I would never be able to do what you did.
I know. But to me, it's seems normal because you kind of are the same way as me. You operate you own multiple businesses.
Yeah.
You have your rentals. You have a family. Yes. You've been heavily involved in the board. All the same things I have. You know what I mean? And it's I I mean, if you really sit back and think about it, you're like, it is a lot.
It's a lot, and
But we just
burnout
do
is
it.
real.
Burnout is real. You're
And
going through it right now.
I'm going through it. So
Well, and also when you...
it is it's when you get, because you get here.
Yeah.
It's almost yearly you get to this place, or maybe like every 18 months.
But even more so, like when you... So in real estate, we have local associations, and it's all volunteer. There's no paid positions unless it's staff, that you hire. But realtors volunteer their time. They're on committees. They may be on the board of directors, things like that. And so I was president in 2022. Rachel was president in 2023. When you're president, it's a full-time job. And it's very difficult.
And travel. You got to travel.
You travel. And there are
right.
sacrifices you have to make. And there are things that fall to the wayside, like your production may fall off a little bit. You can't be everything to everyone. It's hard. But you commit to be the president, so you want to give it your all and do your best and things like that. So you have to stay on the year one more year as the past president after you finish your presidency. That's the year that you feel the fatigue. That you're like, I'm just done.
So
I can't do anymore. I'm checked out. I'm burned out. I'm tired.
It's so hard. I think I have like 3 more meetings left, and then
And it's sad that you count down the time, but it's like...
I know, and it is bittersweet.
Yeah.
Because I love being in the know, especially for my company. But it's like all I want, and 40's approaching, and I keep saying this. I just want more time back in my life.
Yeah.
Like I'm always going. It's not fulfilling anymore. Constantly in the go. I want to be present.
Yeah.
So I listen.
No,
to
I know.
so many podcasts, how to be present, how
Yeah.
to meditate, and it's gonna be.
You can only be in the rat race so long.
No.
Like running on that cycle, and then
and-
you're like, I want off.
And that's the thing is, when do you know you're done? And I keep.
I
having
think
this-
sometimes it's too late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
That's my
I think
fear.
you try to push it down.
That's my
that you're
fear.
done. You're done now. I mean, with all this. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
I know there's
You
so
know,
many
like-
aspects of things in my life that I'm done with.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to figure out what is that next chapter.
Yeah, and it's hard to release it. You know what I mean? I mean, even the board.
It's
like
hard to let go too. It's hard
and people still call me with questions and things, and you wouldn't believe how many agents call me all the time and say, "I know you're the president." I'm like,
You're like,
I have not been the
2
president for
years
2
ago.
years. Like,
That is.
I mean, I just had one Friday night, 6:00. And so I had a missed call, and I was like, oh, I need to call that agent back. They must be wanting to see one of my listings. I don't know. I never do that unless I leave a message. I called him back. I was on the phone for an hour just wanting to talk about what's going on in AR, and he knows I'm on the board and this. I'm like, I am not on the board. I'm not a president.
year.
2 years. 1 year.
No, 1 year.
Yeah.
You got off last year. That's crazy.
Yeah. But I'm like, you guys.
I know. But I'm almost there. I'm almost a past president like you.
Yes. You
some
get your
time-
life back.
I'll get some time back in my life because I think I haven't realized how hard of a strain this volunteering is put on my business and myself. So let's see where we go after.
Yeah.
After I could take that off my plate, let me reevaluate and see where
It
I
is a
am.
weird adjustment at first. You're like,
You don't know anything, too.
what do I do with my time?
You don't know anything.
I know.
That's the hardest part is just like how, because, change happens and you're aware.
I know there's so many meetings that I'm missing right now
Yeah.
at the board office because I'm not checked out, but I just don't see it. It's
But-
not like coming through my
Exactly.
email,
But
high priority.
Exactly. Like I could see, like you have a shift. There's a shift
Yeah.
in the way you don't look for
And it's
those
kind of like, this kind of, I could go to lunch today. This is nice.
can't
Not
wait.
feel guilty,
I can't wait.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you
Next time.
next week,
Yeah.
next month,
Next time.
Next time.
Yes.
Bye.